Back at 8:10 now. We all know that money matters, but when it comes down to taking the time to learn and keep up with helpful information and the discipline to practice necessary skills, many of us fall short. We're always going to do it some other time. April is Financial Literacy Month, so if you think you're one of those people we were just talking about, come over to the TV, listen to this, because we can all get back on that financial prosperity track starting this month, doing it together. Here with everything you need to know is Shari, our consumer lawyer and advocate. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
That really does kind of sum it up. A lot of people are going to start doing it next month, next year, when I get my next raise, when I get my next job, and years go by, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness.
It's too bad that thinking about money isn't as much fun as spending it, right?
Exactly. So what's the goal of the entire month?
Well, this all started back in 2003 with the House and the Senate, and then a couple of states also passed resolutions. And at that time, Roxanne, we were carrying about $2 trillion in debt, and a third of Americans reported not having any cash in case there was an emergency. So there was urgency to create a time, government felt, during the year when we can all sort of focus a little bit more on this. Since then, of course, we've had this huge financial crisis, so there's even more emphasis on it. And yet still, Roxanne, today, almost a half of Americans would grade themselves either a C, a D, or an F when it comes to financial know-how. So there's a lot of information we really need to get.
50% average or below. That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And then you hear these statistics coming out about retirement, people saving for retirement in their late 40s or 50s with nothing. So,
well, there's different priorities at different points in life.
Exactly. All right, so we're talking about these financial parts of our lives. Let's get into that.
Well, it's good if we can sort of organize it. So basically, we're talking about 5 buckets. And we've talked about these individually before in different segments. We're talking about your earning, your spending, your investing and saving, your borrowing, and then protecting yourself from scams. But here's the thing, Roxanne. In this country, we spend about $2 per person on financial literacy and education. But industry spends about $54 per person trying to sell us products, and sometimes they use financial literacy and education as sort of a disguise to sell us products. So one of the really big problems is finding reliable resources from folks who don't have any other agenda other than truly to educate you.
Well, then, where do you get some of these tools? Where do you get the tips? How can you get more information when we don't spend much on it, but maybe it's because we can't find it?
Right, that's key. Finding the time and also finding the information. So we have a couple of places that folks can go now that Financial Literacy Month is winding down. One of my favorites is financialliteracymonth.com. If you go there, Roxanne, you're going to see a 30-day calendar with simple tips. You can read this stuff in a minute a day, and actual actionable tips that you can start implementing every single day. The first day, for example, is a 10-second quiz, so you can actually assess your own financial literacy. The second that we're recommending is mymoney.gov, which actually organizes the tips into those 5 buckets. So they're real easy to find.
Yeah.
But, you know, the FTC and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau also have great resources on their website. And for folks who don't like using the computer, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau just this past month launched a new program to make these tools available in libraries. So you can go there when you have those critical decision-making times. If you're buying a car, if you're financing a home, thinking about taking out student loans, you can now go to the library and access this reliable, non-biased information.
So the library is always there. It's still there, and that's a good thing to know. Thanks a lot for the tips.
Sure.
We've got to go. Let's get back to the anchor desk.
All right, we do have breaking news.